Yeah, we always do enjoy some games here, don't we, Alk? Immortals is on the blue side. Grilled Cheese is on red. Of course, loser picked side for, this series that we're going into, though. I mean, I'm anticipating kind of the same picks and bans. Of course, I don't have my notes. My notes are upstairs. My notebook is upstairs with all my
Charlie,
notes
you
on Grilled
can't.
Cheese
You're
and
letting the
Immortals.
audience know.
I
You're letting the
know.
audience know.
Oh,
You're
that I
getting
have
them into
notes?
No, that we don't have the
Oh,
notes.
that I don't have
the
my
notes are
notes.
lost.
I made
We
them.
have to.
They're
We
not
have to put
lost.
the
I know where they are.
broadcast. Gotta put the magic.
Sorry.
in, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah. Let me just check. Let me check my notes real quick.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, while we're exploring through the Yumi book over there, Immortals. We talked about it just now, but you know they are people. This is a team that played pretty well in the first major and have been looking excellent, especially behind their front runner of Hoon, who in the mid lane has looked fantastic. But Grilled Cheese, some a little bit of a similar story. We've seen some really great performances throughout most of their qualifier in the second circuit, but I'm looking to see how they attack the new players on Immortals and if that introduces some of the instability that we had hinted at on the desk there. So looking forward to that as we get through these bans. Nami has been a really big focus for the qualifiers, and no surprise to see her here. Now, first picks are available, and I know Fizz has been tearing it up a little bit, but I wonder if people are going to still be trying to play some of this Senna Nasus that we saw.
Senna's just so darn good, and Graves has been very high priority, and particularly Pirate Boy, actually definitely a standout member from the first major. You and I having covered that, and really Pirate Boy, I think the Graves was actually banned out the majority of that major. It's been more of a priority now to ban away the Gragas because the flexibility and just how strong that champion is, and then the Zinj House still is a high priority one. Camille might be the lock-in for Immortals. Incredibly strong, high skill cap, but certainly something that Immortals is not going to shy away from.
I like this from Immortals. I think it takes away a little bit of that carry potential I think that we'll see from Hoon. I want to see what they pick on their blue side third pick here, because it can be Galio, which is what I was thinking when you automatically have this Camille and it's still available. It is a great answer into the Twisted Fate and can still pair up with Senna. I like how they still aren't showing their hand when it comes to that Dragon lane. And for them, when I'm looking at Grilled Cheese composition, this is really trying to play towards Pirate Boy. I mean, Graves has not found a lot of success, mostly been picked on the side of someone like the team of Cloud9, who have been really playing for Tarzan, but I don't think Graves really can match up, especially when you still have the potential of Camille that you're going to be going up against. Is very, very dangerous. But with TF and with Lulu, as well as Kaisa, I think is a very dangerous composition here for Grilled Cheese.
It is. I'm liking the color scheme that we've got going for Immortals.
Oh,
this
okay.
Gold and white,
Yeah.
this gold and white that they're sticking with, and I mean a lot of ferocity. So basically, what I'm seeing here is Grilled Cheese, even just with these 4 picks, really needs to pop off early. Immortals cannot, or they can't allow Immortals to get into a late game. Because this composition, they're going to stick with that color scheme right there. This composition in late game is, I mean, basically impossible to shut down with the champions that have been selected here by Grilled Cheese. There's too much initiation. There's too much of a delay or a stall on the abilities that are going to be coming through, or have a lot of focus for Grilled Cheese, thanks to that Galio, thanks to the Camille being able to hook shot in and throw down that Hextech ultimatum. So if Grilled Cheese can get a lot of pressure on, maybe shut down this Camille or try to get some invasion, try to get some damage onto Yikes, they have a very good possibility of carrying this early game in. But man, this Immortals team is looking, I mean, as time goes on, looking scarier and scarier.
It's looking dangerous, and I'm looking for Grilled Cheese. What is your last pick here? What is your counter pick for the Baron lane? Because I'm just seeing Graves with no priority in the laning phase. Ashe and Senna should have access and a lot of great range against Kaisa and Lulu in the laning phase. And Camille, I mean, Galio and Pantheon are very dangerous to deal with early on. So Singed as their last pick. This is something that we saw them find a lot of success with in the qualifiers. We saw Singed quite a lot there. And TechSheet not one to shy away from it, especially as being a kind of a aggressive player in his own right. So what does this do for Grilled Cheese? It's good against Galio. It's great if they can try to respond to ganks, but for Grilled Cheese, I'm looking at that first TF ultimate. If TF can get off a really awesome Destiny gate, then we might see something open up for them. But if it doesn't arrive early enough, or if it's just not, if the positioning is just not there for them, I see Grilled Cheese having a really dysfunctional comp for what they want to do in the game.
I feel like, for Grilled Cheese, for me, A lot of the pressure is going to be on the Lulu roam to try to get up to, to assist with that mid lane. Very, very early, especially Grilled Cheese. I mean, really well known to have Stove just kind of wander the map towards the start. But to have the Lulu on top of it, you've got the wild growth. You've got just a lot of opportunity with Polymorph and Wincy and things like that. So there's, a little more wiggle room. I think that Lulu pick offers a little bit more wiggle room, but the survivability that's on the side of Immortals compared to Grilled Cheese is insane. Throw a Senna on top of it who can Dawning Shadow the whole team, and it's just looking a little bit rough. I don't see the initiation I really would like from Grilled Cheese.
There's not a lot of tools that they have, right? We're looking at, you've got Gold Card, which TF doesn't do a lot of damage. You're really there as a kind of a utility, just being able to provide an extra body when it comes to a team fight. And Singed can be very tanky when he activates his ultimate, but really doesn't offer all that much. And when you look at Immortals, I mean, fights can take very, very long for them, or they can end in a moment's notice, right?
Yep.
You have Camille with so much true damage. Same thing with Pantheon, who can provide that kind of DPS. So when I'm looking, I'm getting a little bit antsy. And this is a best of 3, so there are still a couple games available here for Grilled Cheese.
You've got like 4 global ultimates on Immortals. Now. So
if you die on the other side, it's doomed.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's absolutely. If they have their ultimates off cooldown, this is absolutely insane. And what are you gonna do? With the ultimates on the other side, Killer Instinct, try to keep people alive with the Wild Growth, Destiny away from something that's really not the options that you want to have. And so Immortals are gonna be. I can picture it. I can picture the arrow coming through, the Enchanted Crystal arrow coming through, the Galio, Hero's Entrance on top of that, Pantheon as well coming in, and then Senna Dawning Shadow through all of it. It's nasty.
I want to see Grilled Cheese off to an early start here. I want to see them not only push in the mid lane, you pull Pirate Boy out of his rotation in the jungle camps, bring him in mid lane, push out that wave, and look for something onto TF. Make Galio's life incredibly difficult. If they can't get level 5 before you, that'll leave you with a little bit of room, a little bit of an option to go either into the Baron lane or to try to salvage this Dragon lane. If I'm looking at a lane though, I think Dragon lane should be really interesting. We saw last week it was Tekshi on like a bunch of Garen just running into the back line, wanting to turret dive, and Singed I think uniquely positioned to be able to do that, especially with someone who might not have enough damage, but when you have Graves and you have TF, Camille cannot survive that for that long.
Yeah, and that, I mean, the question on top of that is, does the mobility that's also offered on the side of Immortals, because they have a huge amount of mobility, really, aside from Ashe, they have at least some way of getting in or out of things here. Will that be enough then to just avoid all of that from Grilled Cheese? Because it is very, you've got to be landing these skill shots, whether it's the Void Seeker from Kaisa, whether it's the cards, I forget what the cards are, the Q from Twisted Fate, just really nailing a lot of these potentially not successful engages or fights. And so that's where my concern comes through. But for all we know, Grilled Cheese, as we're getting into game number 1 here, they may just be the team to shut down what looks like a really, really stalwart aggression and defense. Tekshi and Zoro, we're gonna have a little bit of a back and forth.
This is all right. I mean, starting tactical sweep on Camille, nothing too out of the ordinary there. Really big eyes again on what the difference here for Immortals is, coming in with a new squad, a few new players, different roles and such. And I want to look at Hoon, because we saw a lot of success from Hoon. I might have to hold that as Tekshi's taking a lot of damage in this early laning phase. He has been a huge carry for them, and now on the Galio being a little bit more supportive, I wonder if this is a new look as a whole from Immortals that I'd been getting hints about.
We'll have to see. And the other struggle with Singed early on is mana. It's absolutely atrocious to try to get really good, response in, to try to get some flips, to try to throw out poison and not just completely waste all of the mana that you've got. Already got Yikes showing up here. It's down towards the bottom side. It's really countering the fact that that you've got Pirate Boy here as well, trying to get early pressure on this mid side.
Yeah, this is just, we're fighting for mid.
Look at the pop-up there. It's going to be a taunt on top of it, but it will be the first blood. Easy trying to recover something. Hits with gold card. Is going to land a few autos. Has to decide here what the choice is, though, because who
Oh.
is engaging on this with a flash over the
Oh,
wall
no.
by Yikes. Means he'll stay alive, and who will find the kill in response? Beautifully done by Immortals.
Oh no. Grilled cheese. It's half-baked in execution, guys. Come on. They end up falling down, and it is just... I mean, this is the strength of Pantheon, a champion we haven't really seen too much in North America. It's been a fan favorite over in Europe in the Origin series, and I've been a big fan of it, but we see right there the absolute strength in the early game here for Pantheon, working out for Yikes and Immortals. So early off, they've already found a lot of kills. They're starting to get that CS advantage in the mid lane, which is what I wanted to see in the early game for them. Grilled cheese, still a little bit of times left in this one, obviously. Only about 1,500 gold down, but a lot of that behind your jungle is not what you want to see early on.
No, and not with the amount of crowd control that's also offered on the side of Immortals. You know, when you have that matchup and you have Steezy on TF, and then you have Pirate Boy on Graves here, going into, I mean, knowing full well that they are up against a Pantheon and a Galio with a pop-up, with Taunt, with a W available from that Pantheon as well to prevent some damage and, you know, force some recourse out of the enemy team. So, yes, they still have an opportunity, but, you know, I'm going to have to see something really, really good coming out of Grilled Cheese to actually make this composition work against Immortals. And I'm kind of worried that they're not going to be able to pull it off because, it's just, this is a rough comp. This is a rough comp to go up against. This is a rough comp to play with.
I think it's definitely the bar of execution is very high for Grilled Cheese, right? They don't have very many traditional tools of crowd control, and it is a lot of range advantage available to them, but going to be a tough one to pull off here, and especially with this early game, a little bit harder, but still some access to this game, right? They have the growth in experience that's at least helping out Steezy to try to mitigate what happened in mid lane, and so far, I mean, aside from that little bit of action, they did get a summoner spell advantage for Immortals. They only used Yikes' Flash, but Steezy has the Ignite up again, and with Flash coming up in the next few moments, we have to imagine, we already see that they might be setting up something onto this Baron lane.
Potentially here, we do have some resets coming through across the board, and actually a move down there. Camille stopping that one. Arachnosauro looked like was going to go through with that one, then realizing, you know what, actually we have a nice position to move in on this Rift Herald. So all 5 members from Immortals are going to start this one up, all recognizing though that Grilled Cheese is looking to initiate. It will be Yikes who gets the first one, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow to follow that one up. It will be Camille who picks up the first kill. She's going to hook shot forward, get the Hextech Ultimatum onto the backside, and that's going to be a Dawning Shadow followed by Pantheon jumping in with the ultimate. That is a lot of damage. Last Embrace is going to land on the 3 members right there. No opportunity to follow up in Immortals on damage. But certainly a successful fight, and they're going to pick up the Rift Herald on top of it.
Grilled Cheese have recognized, and maybe they might be behind a patch, but they just now remembered, hey, the dragon has spawned. It is one of the few changes that Rift Herald now spawns alongside the dragon, and they die, they lose 1 member, they get Steezy's Flash again, and while it was a good trade here for Immortals, I think Grilled Cheese a little bit dizzy in the early game, feeling maybe they want to try to field a couple options, but I think at that point you say, hey, look, we're going to trade the Rift Herald, we're going to get ourselves the Drake, try to set ourselves up as the Drake advantage team. They are able to grab a first turret for themselves in the Dragon lane, which should mitigate a little bit of this gold, but they're giving up a lot of it on this Baron lane.
And you can tell with that fight as well, you know, that Rift Herald fight, that Immortals was more than happy to entice Grilled Cheese to come in to fight there. And not only that, but Grilled Cheese ended up splitting themselves up, trying to come towards the top side, and you end up losing a pivotal member in that. There's no recovery. And then we talked about the amount of momentum, the amount of movement and mobility that is just all over this Immortals team. You have the hook shot to be able to get through the Baron pit right there, continuing the fight, the Pantheon ultimate on top of it. I mean, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow was used at the very, very beginning, same with Hero's Entrance. And so just the amount of tools that Immortals has to really make this win condition or reinforce this win condition, it's insane, and it's just getting harder and harder now for Grilled Cheese to be able to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. This is a really unique position that I think Grilled Cheese actually find themselves in, where their bot lane or their Dragon lane duo, who is really, really strong, are going to push down onto this turret, and Singed is uniquely known to, you don't want to chase the Singed, so trying to turret dive him is a little bit weaker. And I like this, trying to cover for the bot lane. He might just be dead.
Might be dead there. That is going to be a jump over. The Destiny is going to come out. The ultimate as well from Pantheon. That is going to be a polymorph onto Yikes. That really helps. Pulling out the Dawning Shadow as well. Won't be enough damage. That's going to be the first kill going over to Grilled Cheese.
Okay, Grilled Cheese, I like what you were doing here. I was hoping that you would maybe try to answer something onto the Baron lane, but giving this much pressure away to Araki Zoro is something that I wasn't expecting. When we were looking at Araki Zoro coming from the first major, this guy was a Malphite player. This is the only champion that he was playing uniquely and specifically for himself, where every game it was Malphite, Malphite, Malphite. And now on this Camille, giving resources away, getting alone time on this Baron lane turret and taking more of those camps away from Grilled Cheese. It's a kill in return, but they're losing a lot on the other side. So I don't know if they're making too many of the correct trade plays that I would like to see from them. And Immortals, correctly so, I think are leading them around the map.
Yeah, they're leading them around, and they were kind of okay with Yikes going down in that instance. I mean, totally fine. You got to the top side, though. Araki Zoro going to flash forward after using the Hextech Ultimatum, finding a solo kill right there. That's going to be the Rift Herald on the bottom side. In the meantime, looks like Yikes is going in on another engage here. It's going to be the pop-up. Boom does not land that one, but the taunt comes through. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow will lock one down, but it will be Yikes who falls first. Charm. Oh my gosh, I'm frozen for a second. Oh, I'm back. We're good.
The arrow actually hit us. That's what happened. The arrow missed the team fight, but it hit us instead, actually. That's what happened. It happens.
It was beautiful. I mean, it's a pretty arrow, and it has it's done its job at least. It's a 4,000 plus gold lead now for Immortals. They have 2 towers, and it's only 8.5 minutes in. So, I mean, if Grilled Cheese can't find something somewhere, and honestly, it's seeming more and more impossible based on the composition here. It feels like a redo for Grilled Cheese here. I'm not gonna lie.
Right now, they don't have a lot of options, and I think that comes from the fact that they don't have traditional crowd control like we talked about earlier. So, what they're running into is basically a composition where Pantheon can decide fights, and because Immortals are so early onto the play and being able to be in multiple different places at once, it allows them to control chokes. Like we see here, you can't enter into the river unless you're going to die, unless someone is going to have to face check. The most important part is easy.
It's going to be a jump in Dawning Shadow. Hero's entrance on top. It doesn't even get an assist on that one. Get a little bit of a grounding, but that is going to be a free dragon here for Immortals.
Someone clip that. I need a clip immediately put on Twitter, put in the Discord server for the tournament, because that was, I mean, it was a small bit of mechanics, but using the Hextech Ultimatum from Camille to push Steezy into the Ash Arrow, it's beautiful. It's just a thing of wonder. And now for them, they've gotten a Drake for themselves. They have complete control of this mid lane. And there it is.
Another initiation on top, and it's going to be Yikes trying to jump in. Destiny on the backside. Yikes has to flash away. Actually is going to get locked down, though. A flash forward by Hoon, who is very, very low. Might go down. It'll be the ultimate that finds the one. And that is at least a successful fight for Grilled Cheese here. Araki Zoro, in the meantime, says, hey, I'll open up your inhibitor, your bottom inhibitor. Time, and I think we're okay with that. It's going to be oh my goodness, so much damage. Kenji goes down there. Wow, this
he
is a
just
tough one.
died instantly.
It's honestly, I'm getting, I don't know about you, Alec, but it's pretty skippy for me. Losing a few frames. And it's hard to keep an eye on things. This game is going so quick.
We may have to talk to production, but don't worry, Jolly. I got you. All that happened was, just as you see for Twisted Fate, they are a magician. They're a little bit of sleight of hand. One moment they're here, and the next moment they have an Enchanted Crystal Arrow in their face, and they're dead. Just amazing amount of damage coming out from Immortals, and continuing to kind of pressure their lead. You see right now, I mean, they're going to start to threaten this Baron. I don't know if they necessarily want to do it. They don't have the most amount of damage onto it, but I would like the idea of using it as a point of leverage against Grilled Cheese, saying, hey, come to the pit and, kind of sacrifice yourself. You guys are going to die if you walk up for this, but damned if you, damned if you don't. I love this dive potential coming out from Immortals. Destiny should dissuade this from them, but losing so much on the edges of the map here for Grilled Cheese.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that, as I mentioned, you've got these 4v5 fights in mid lane, and Araki Zora's like, cool, keeping Keep them distracted, guys. I'm doing my job. I mean, you've got
Mhm.
access to the lower inhibitor. You have 3 towers down, and that's just going to get more and more difficult for Grilled Cheese because it's hard to stop individual plays from these guys. There's going to be one, though, Kenshin. Oh, but the crystal arrow comes through. Who manages to stay alive? The last embrace will knock onto both of them as it's a flash forward by Stove to actually reinforce the second kill right there. Rakizoro's going to use that second ultimatum, might stay alive here. No way. Does go down, though, because CZ is able to throw that Ignite.
That's good. Finding kills on the side lane is still beneficial there for Grilled Cheese, and I like how they're using the Destiny. This is what we had talked about earlier on when we were looking at the draft just 12 minutes ago, right? We're talking about Destiny and TF. While he doesn't provide a lot of damage, that numbers advantage is so important for trying to find kills on opposite sides of the map. And being able to find that onto Rakizoro is good for them. The point of strength that I actually want to note here for Grilled Cheese is they still haven't dropped this mid lane turret. Yes, it has gone through a lot of trials and tribulations. A lot of people have died around it for Grilled Cheese, but it has not fallen yet. That is the last bastion for them to kind of stick into this game. You see how heavily they're prioritizing trying to put people in this lane, prevent it from falling.
It's been a lot of resources that have been spent on that, though. You know, you have 4 to 5 members at all times that are kind of trying to counter this and keep this mid lane turret alive. Even from the very beginning, you had Texture coming down. You had Pirate Boy sitting in this lane to try to offer a little bit of solace here. But it is going to go down finally. Not even a lot of minions required there. A nice little route onto Steezy, but there won't be no follow-up from Immortals. So they find themselves 4th tower of the game, and it keeps that gold lead just a bit.
They're holding on right now. Immortals are doing a fantastic job of denying a ton of resources just everywhere. You see it now in the Baron lane as well as the Dragon lane. They're not letting them get anything by themselves and forcing them to really overgroup. So a lot of gold is concentrated onto Kenshin. And
oh my
gone.
goodness, that was so dang quick. They just have to get on top of the Hextech ultimatum. Is really just there to keep them locked down. It's going to be a flash over the wall by Kenshin, but Doom is going to follow that one up. No problem. We can split this fight in our favor, and it will be just Kexi and Pirate Boy alive. Baron, the access for Immortals.
All right, Pirate Boy, can you steal it? I mean, that's the Hail Mary here. He's got the ultimate. Could try to go for it, but ends up saying, nope, we're not going to go for it. We're just going to take my other side of the rift and maybe look for a dragon. I just don't think it's in the cards.
Rakizoro is just too strong there, you know? You can't do anything about that.
Camille's pretty good. Camille does have 3 items now, so very dangerous. Curves the arrow.
Oh, man. Curves the arrow. This is like Wanted, but with bows.
This is that's one of the most fun changes for one of the champions here. Yikes is looking for it. They've got Baron. They want this dragon. They want to put themselves at 2 Drakes and the Elder, but I don't know if Grilled Cheese will have time to face it off against the Elder. He's stuck in this pit. Doesn't have flash. They could try to look for this kill.
They are going to, and it's going to be a stun on the backside as well.
They haven't killed him.
Charm trying to get through. Yikes. Now stuck here with Steezy, who actually takes a lot of damage and will end up going down. A double kill on one side. Pirate Boy has to flash away. A triple kill to Galio. And only the 2 members go down. Yikes! Stayed alive that whole fight.
Oh no. And it was an ace for 2 members on Immortals. Call an ambulance, and we had talked about it before, but the global presence coming out from Immortals, just overwhelming force here for them against Grilled Cheese. Yikes is stuck in the pit. Well, now there's a hero's entrance to try to delay, so there's a magic shield. And then you have the 3rd ability from Pantheon. They're just going to use the Grand Skyfall to end this game, Jolly. That's game 1 going over to Immortals.
Game number 1 pretty dominantly going over to Immortals, in fact, and I do believe that we can kind of agree out. There was a bit of a draft diff. There was a bit of a draft diff on that one.
I will say, again, it's way easier to play Immortals comp. Like if you play that match 100 times over, I give it like 60-40 to Immortals. It is definitely a much harder team composition to try and pull off. The mid 2v2 didn't go as well. We saw that early on. If that maybe goes the other way, Grilled Cheese are looking pretty strong. I like the composition. It's just there's some things that maybe I would want to tweak or maybe look for in the second game. But for Immortals, I mean, they did not let grilled cheese back into that game afterwards. They played, I think, really well on side lanes while they were waiting for
Mhm.
objectives to spawn. And while they did get caught out a few times, I like this look from Immortals. It is much cleaner and a lot stronger than what we saw in the last circuit.
For sure. I mean, this is a scary team. That was a scary composition that they were able to build through. And, you know, I can't say I can't say I like the composition that came through from grilled cheese. I can't lie about that. I
Mhm.
mean, it's tough, especially when you have Camille locked in early. You know, side lanes are going to be a priority. There were like 3 separate win conditions from Immortals team comp, and I really didn't see a single one within grilled cheese. It's really just try to get kills, but the amount of pressure that they were able to offer, even with Destiny, it's like, cool, you've got Destiny. Well, we've got Dawning Shadow, we've got Here's Entrance, we've got, I mean, Grand Skyfall, we've got like Crystal Arrow, Enchanter, like all of these things
Yeah.
that also allow us to have mobility and access to the back line of the team. So if you're going to be running something like that, you need more crowd control. You need a bit more of a heavy initiator. So I would just like to see the composition cleaned up a little bit. Maybe the win condition on that composition a little more focused or centralized.
Yeah, I actually really like that analogy there for centralizing what we want to do on grilled cheese, right? Because I love some of these pairs. Don't get me wrong. I love Twisted Fate with something like a Graves. You know, you have that mix of AD and AP, can show up for when you want that Graves to carry. Excellent. I like Lulu and Graves. You have a marksman with another hyper carry support that can try to help him out in the Enchanter slot. You have Kaisa with TF, a fantastic diving duo where you can go into side lanes, use the Killer Instinct and the Destiny Gate, and that's fantastic. But some of these pieces, they just don't mix together. We
Yeah.
don't want to hyper carry and to try to dive at the same time. We need some initiation. We have kind of a Singed who's playing a little bit more for full AP and getting a lot of stats from their ultimate. Not fantastic. So
Mhm.
I like some of these champions in isolation and I like them with what we saw. But honestly, like I was talking about earlier, Graves has been something of a little bit of like a, we've seen very little of it and it has
Mhm.
not kind of shown up so far. It needs a little bit more gold. And when junglers right now are just these amazing brawlers in Pantheon, Olaf, and Camille, just doesn't match up to that
Yeah.
expectation. So need to find a different answer here if you're grilled cheese.
Yeah, and it was Varus, Zin, and Ziggs that were banned away. So really solid
Mm,
bans from Grilled Cheese of just very strong champions right now. But it's hard to try to even pick one of these that I'd like swap out. Maybe if you want to try to avoid the side lane pressure, Camille is by far one of the strongest champions right now, if not the strongest champion to get side lane pressure in general as a solo player. Really just to have that of you've got a Camille, you have side lane pressure. That's all you need is the one champion. And so, maybe considering getting Camille in there or trying to lock her in. We know that Immortals started on the blue side, but it is going to be Choice going over to Grilled Cheese. So very likely that they're going to try to go for that first pick, as has been big priority for Wild Rift in particular, kind of counter to the recent Summoner's Rift meta has been
hmm.
getting the
Yeah.
the red side pick. So definitely sticking with the blue side meta on this one. And it looks like just based on current match at the bottom there that Grilled Cheese is on the blue side here. So maybe trying to pick up that Camille for themselves, maybe trying to get their own side lane pressure that they have to force Immortals to then respond to.
Side laning has been really weird in North America and just in Wild Rift in general. We haven't seen too much of people trying to play split push. There's not much incentive to try to go for it, especially with just how powerful these objectives are when you're looking at both Baron
Mhm.
and the Dragon, with how much the game kind of centralizes around those 2 points on the map. Team fighting is just so important. Can your champion? It's cool if you can split push. That's like an added bonus. That's why we started to see a little bit more Fiora and that Lee Sin matchup in the Baron lane. That has been really fun. But how well can you team fight? How well can you play around certain other members in a 5v5 or even break up that against the enemy team? So now we're into
Yeah.
draft here, Jolly. Some adaptation already, changing up the bands.
Mhm.
Senna and Camille heading the table.
Yeah, and I do think that Camille offers enough utility. Like that's why if you have just her, you can
Yes.
you can do side lanes. And the best part about side lanes is if you have side lane pressure, we just saw it in that last game. Grilled Cheese forced to have to respond to side lane pressure. They weren't able to. Instead, they decided, all right, we're going to keep this mid. It doesn't last. When you have pressure endlessly hitting your top and your bottom lane, and you have 4v5s constantly going in the mid side, that yes, you're finding some success in, but you're not really getting any response in terms of objectives, then that side lane pressure is massive in getting priority on the objectives in the first place.
Yeah, we'll have to see because now we're getting similar things. We're dropping a few of them. Ziggs is gone. Ziggs is still here, guys. We don't. Maybe Immortals is going to be the one to try to ban him on the red side. Thankful to see that one. But this means Gragas has gone through, and Gragas has
Yep.
found so much success. It's just so broken ever since they've been added to the game. Has been just a mainstay in the Baron lane, and has made a few appearances in jungle, but really just a powerhouse and just how flexible they are.
I still like to support Gragas, not gonna lie.
True. This is true.
So that's the other great part about Gragas is the flexibility in this champion. It looks like it will be a Xayah Rakan. Nope. They're gonna get my hopes up. They're gonna get my hopes up. Maybe. Yeah.
We'll wait for it to lock
okay.
in. There it is.
All right, okay. They teased me on not picking Xayah Rakan. I am a big Xayah fan. I absolutely love her. You just really need to focus on your positioning. You have to try to focus on getting those feathers weaved in without the enemy really noticing where they are, or if they are recognizing it, that means that you are kind of depicting their pathing. You're forcing them to avoid those feathers. And we might be seeing another super aggressive jungler here, the Vi, coming out once again from Pirate Boy. We saw this in the first major. To, individual success for Vi, but not so much for the team itself.
Pirate Boy looked good on Vi. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with that. I'm not sure if I like this champion or not. It's just she's really great at initiating, and from ahead, I think that Vi fills very similar roles to a bunch of other tanks in the jungle. But from behind, this champion tends to lack a lot. Tends to be a little bit lackluster for me. So we'll have to see. And grilled cheese, like Vi wants to go in, and Gragas and Janna have very different play patterns to that. So
Yeah.
I want to see what their bot lane duo here is. What are you saving your blue side for? Especially picking your jungle already so early on. We've been seeing a little bit in what they want to do, but this bot lane or this dragon lane has to be really impactful here for grilled cheese against Immortals, where you now have Hoon on Akali. That right there should just be enough for me to say this is going to be a pretty good game for Immortals automatically. And now you have Olaf as well. Dangerous composition and loves everything that grilled cheese is doing for them. So Immortals very comfortable with where they're at. Grilled cheese, what is your response?
It's once again really particular in situational crowd control, situational damage, situational everything. I like the Vayne lock-in, I like the Vayne Janna, mostly just because it works really well against me. I hate going up against a Vayne. But this is very similar to that first game that we saw where grilled cheese, I can kind of see maybe where they're noticing some cohesion, some sort of win condition, but comparatively, it's essentially non-existent. It's like a speck compared to a freaking planet, in terms of the cohesion that is Immortals is creating within their team. And that's not even including, the synergy between Xayah and Rakan. That's just also considering, and then the Galio lock-in on top of it is just beautiful. So they have so much initiation, so much crowd control, lockdown. You've got the taunts, you've got the blade caller roots. And a lot, once again, you've got, some high mobility for everybody here. High mobility. On the other side, you've got a lot of nice, juicy targets for Immortals.
I feel like Immortals actually just have a better version of grilled cheese's comp.
Yeah.
Grilled cheese has a lot of disengage and a lot of potential to kind of re-engage fights, right? You have Janna ultimate, which is so huge. Gragas can play a flexible role in being both an engager and a disengage tool for using the explosive cask. And Vayne can do very many different things, but Rakan can do all of those things a little bit better than Janna. Akali may not be able to match kind of the tanky prowess of someone like a Vi or a Gragas, but can be a diver alongside Galio and Olaf, but can also play a little bit back. Maybe, Olaf and Vi, they share very similar traits, but Olaf can be so much more tankier than her, especially with Stoneplate being in the game. So Immortals, again, they have a very strong comp. I like how they flex the Akali into top lane. And for Rocky Zoro, I think this is definitely a different path that we've seen so far in 2 games. Sample size is incredibly small, but going from the first circuit, whereas Renekton, a
Yep.
little bit of Camille and a lot of Malphite, to now
Yep.
Akali, Camille, so awesome. And I'm glad to see that they've kind of opened up a little bit in terms of their playbook. So looking forward to what we see from that. Grilled Cheese backs against the wall. Losers goes into the losers round. We'll play a little bit earlier, a little bit later on today, not on stream, but right there, you're kind of blowing your first wish, right? You got the 1 life. You get 2 lives here in a double elim. Going out so early is not what you want to see. But best of 3, they can take one here potentially.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough though.
Mhm.
You know, they first picked Gragas, and Gragas is so darn strong right now.
Yeah.
You've got the flexibility,
Yeah.
but you need there's got to be some cohesion around it. And that's where, you see the Zyricon picks. Immortals, they go, okay, this is what we're working with. This is what we're working against. Let's build upon that. You get the Akali in there for, additional burst damage, and then getting an Olaf in there for the initiation for the front line, and then on top of it, throwing the Galio. It's like each addition just stacks perfectly on top of the comp that they have. Whereas with
Yep.
Grilled Cheese, it's like, okay, I feel like they're blocks, they're building blocks. Instead of just stacking them on top, they're like trying to build a house like 1, 2, and then like one across, and then like maybe one this
I
way.
imagine it's one of those like mobile
Yeah.
games or like the sandwich stacking games when you would play
Yeah,
as
yeah.
a kid, where they're like a little bit like they're like just
Exactly.
barely holding on as
Yeah,
you're stacking
yeah.
them. Still
Uh-huh.
counts, but I mean it's gonna
Still
fall
counts.
over potentially.
It's a much higher possibility or much higher chance of it collapsing pretty
Mhm.
early on. And one of the base blocks, considering that one of the base blocks not even being able to hold up the rest of the team, which is kind of what the Gragas would be in this. Of all right, cool, we could build off of this Gragas, we could build the composition around this, and then locking in the Vi second, it's like, ooh, that's not it. That's, I like Pirate Boy and the Vi, but I'll say the exact same thing that I said before. It looked good on the individual player. It did not look good for the team overall, and that's huge
Mhm.
for Wild Rift.
Yeah, especially for Grilled Cheese here, they are backs against the wall, right?
Yep.
They need to find some kind of success. They're sticking to a lot of the same flavors that we saw in the first game for them. We see a Janna still in a disengaged support, can be a little bit better for your carries, but really it's just going to be on that Monsoon to try and find something. And now some more engage. This is something that we were talking about for Grilled Cheese. They didn't have enough engage in the first game, and this time they have a ton of it. You have this Janna, you have this Vi, you have Gragas. They can all work as potential ways to go into team fights and try to find a pick. For Immortals, good luck, guys, because top lane, I want to see action towards to this Baron lane, guys. If Grilled Cheese are going to be playing this Twisted Fate, the biggest thing and the biggest draw for this champion is the fact that as soon as you hit level 5, boom, you're out of that lane and you can show up in another one. You can destabilize the matchup and make it very hard to play for Immortals. So when you're up against Akali, it is a counter matchup in the laning phase. Obviously, switching them out is a little bit better, but as soon as you get that level 5, should be looking to try to punish Araki Zoro.
And it's 4 members of Immortals here in the mid side already getting pressure, and that is something Grilled Cheese tried to do early on in game number 1. They were immediately countered, though, and there was just too much crowd control on the side of Immortals for Grilled Cheese to really be able to make anything of it. They're going to try to stall out Immortals' Dragon Lane, though, from actually getting to the lane. However, they ended up taking quite a bit of damage and dealing nothing, actually. So really good positioning there from Immortals means that they absolutely win that fight.
How broken is this, man? Like, cool, Kenshin is just like, I've got a Janna shield, and Immortals, we've got the Lovers Duo. Battle Dance provides so many shields in between, especially with Aerie for Charm. So, like you said, so much damage being traded onto them. They're probably going to be fine. The honey fruit will be spawning and they'll be able to heal themselves up, but already finding themselves a little bit in an advantage. And I want to look at some of the wards here. We see from the side of Grilled Cheese, they've placed some early vision in the Dragon Lane River here, trying to find out where Yikes is. Whereas on the side of Grilled Cheese, or on the side of Immortals, they've have vision of both not only the Raptor camp, but also this blue buff. And they know exactly where this guy should be. So Pirate Boy basically seen out and will be known where they are. And if this is a double scuttle for Immortals, it's going to hurt them. Oh, no.
The taunt lands on a Pirate Boy, takes way too much damage, flashes forward, but it's going to be a flash in response as well right there from who? Steezy. Pass the Flash there himself, and that is, it's gonna be a gold card. He's gonna slap him with a few more cards, but not gonna be enough. Steezy is now in dangerous position, can't get caught out here. And, yeah, it's gonna be a double scuttle.
Oh my god.
Immortals. Oh,
Immortals?
cow, Kenshin. You're, very low there, Kenshin.
That's, you know, typically being low HP with no ignite and even the mid lane. I mean, Immortals are just not letting up. Now double scuttle for Yikes. This is going from bad to worse. They're getting burnt on every side of play here for Grilled Cheese. You had vision of where Yikes was. Why contest? The Flash comes out incredibly late from Pirate Boy. And now you see, with just a kill, First Blood is worth 600 gold. Everything else is just coming from lane advantage that we're seeing not only in the mid lane, but now in the bot lane as well. Being able to avoid, let them crash a wave, miss out on some experience and gold there. Huge for Immortals. It is these small leads that are helping them out and be able to pad out the early game. But even on something like Galio, Hoon is playing incredibly aggressive. I love to see that.
Yeah, and something you also have to kind of, you know, consider or tip the hat for
oh, the root lands.
As I try to say that, it's a flash away there from Stove. Kenshin in a dangerous position, gonna have to flash away themselves right there.
Oh, the cancel!
Canceled out. No Destiny coming through. Steezy has no ultimate available there anymore. What I was gonna say is Grilled Cheese keeps trying at the beginning of both of these games, has been trying to make proactive plays. The problem is that Immortals is already aware that those proactive plays are in motion, and they're like, all right, bring it. They don't even have to react to the proactive plays. It turns out that it actually, what seemingly is, you know, Grilled Cheese's pro action is actually Immortals recognizing just how far ahead they are, the positioning that they have, and the advantage here. So I like the fact that, you know, Grilled Cheese started both these games before they really get behind. They've tried to make some solid plays. They've tried to make something out of it, but Immortals are just too quick on the reaction time.
And it may have bit them a little bit there. I think if you really want to try to min-max a play right there for the Destiny Gate coming out from Steezy, if Hoon just lets Steezy finish the ultimate channel, now you have a wave that's crashing in mid. So you may have created a little bit of gold. That may have actually just been like a small saving grace for the side of Grilled Cheese. Trying to find something on the charm, but this is Rakan, guys. The most squishy, the most elusive support that you can get. They're already starting off on the Rift Herald. Let's see if Grilled Cheese, they've learned from game one. We don't have to contest. We can go straight for the first dragon.
I don't know. I feel like Pike rivals Rakan as an elusive. Well,
True.
probably not as much though. You got a lot of hopping.
You can get away better. Yeah, I was gonna say you got Battle Dance, you got Grand Entrance, you got Quickness. You can be a very speedy boy when you need to be.
Exactly. Yeah, and honestly, it's the hop around. You can W and then E twice, and it's like pop, pop, pop. It's like an Aurelia. I'm like, what's going on here, man? And it's another reason that I love this combination is if you're playing Rakan, you are playing aggressively. I mean, that's just the name of the game, and that's exactly what works really well for Immortals composition, especially having someone like a Olaf in the jungle to be that hard front line, to be able to burn through any of the crowd control that is offered. You go on the Ragnarok, you're totally fine. That's going to be a second tower, a flash forward there as Tekshi gets engaged on. The Ragnarok is going to come out, and a little bit of an axe gets thrown, but that's going to be it from Immortals. They take the get.
Oh, Rocky Zoro, Galio coming in.
Galio is coming to Rocky Zoro is going to get very, very low. The taunt comes through, though, and it keeps Akali alive just barely. Got to get out of there, though. The barrier was blown. A flash away from Hoon as they get under tower. This might be the first tower here for Grilled Cheese. Hoon re-engages there. A tower shot going on to Pirate Boy, and enough damage to at least send them back and allow Zoro to recall.
They need to get something here. They're going to probably die for this.
Not going to recall.
No.
It's going to be one. No way. And gets a kill on top of it. Rocky Zoro says, you know what? Actually, we can take this. I think Hoon just did enough damage that we can absolutely go in, and they still manage to stay alive. That's 4 kills now, 2 towers over Immortals, and a lot of goose eggs on the side of Grilled Cheese.
I think that just tells me everything I need to see right there. Everybody just saw it on their screen. I'm not going to repeat what had just happened. Steezy's dead. Everyone, moment of silence for Twisted Fate. Maybe not. Yeah, well, okay. They're out. Okay, gets out. Is able to walk out alive. But they lose so much across the map there on the side of Grilled Cheese. 2 Baron turrets taken away. They get another push in the mid lane. And Dragon Lane, the fact that that turret is still standing after how much they invested into it is just kind of backbreaking, I think, for Grilled Cheese. They're trying all that they can, but every one of their hits is just missing.
They are all missing. And it's been a lot of amazing ultimates as well from Immortals, whereas once again, I'll highlight the fact that the ultimates are situational. They need to be situational coming from Grilled Cheese. You know, for Stove to be able to use them on Steam properly, for anyone really to use the majority of them, it has to be a situation that is accessible to them, and Immortals are not allowing any openings for that.
The thing that I've been really impressed with so far is what Immortals has really done to kind of shut down Steezy. Now, not typically known to be a massive carry performer on this team, but the fact that the wild cards, that's really great. But the fact that they're taking control of the mid lane just means that you can never use the Destiny aggressively. Zaraki Zoro, this might be a bit much.
I don't know about that.
That's
the
pretty
ultimate's
good.
going to come out there, but it won't do anything. In fact, it just saves Zaraki Zoro because Yikes is also there. More pressure packed onto the Baron lane here that Grilled Cheese is going to have to respond to.
Guys, you're a little bit early. There's no Baron here. This is they're not even going for the wave, so they got the kill. They got a couple of ultimates out in response. They really want to try and get this mid lane turret. There's not a lot of ultimates available to them. But they're able to just brutally manhandle Grilled Cheese around the map. They're saying, look, we're going to bully you. We're going to put you in the locker. And we're going to just take everything that we want with no competition. This is a much better game from Immortals, and one where I think Grilled Cheese just haven't been able to find any kind of footing.
No, it's true. They haven't. I mean, you're looking at 8K, 8.5 minutes in favor of Immortals right now. That is huge, huge. And not just huge, but really an
Get the turret! No!
The composition here. 20 health.
20 HP.
20 health. Not a single tower still. There's been so much invested to get this one tower. You just have to look at it the right way and it's going to go down. But they still can't manage it because the response time, once again, for Immortals is just too darn quick.
And Steezy
gonna
is...
get jumped on. The ultimate again coming out from Tekshi. It does send Rakizoro towards the backside. The gold card
looking
has
for
been
it.
picked up as Kenshi is trying to come in as well. The flash forward, gonna get the condemn into the wall. Rakizoro has to flash away, and it is a nice little tumble there for Vayne to find one.
They get a kill on the board. Grilled Cheese are here to play, guys. They got the dragon. They got the first Drake. They now have a kill. Now they just need to get one turret. But I don't know if Immortals are going to allow that.
Yeah, probably not. That's going to be a forced flash again there out of Pirate Boy. In the meantime, look at this. It might not be the bottom tower.
They got it.
But they find themselves one. And it's the Baron lane, not the Dragon lane. So they do have a little bit of available pressure if they're able to get that bottom tower, or that Dragon tower right there.
Destiny, red card, and sadness.
Immortals is not going to let it happen. Yeah, that's it. See. Line, excuse me. Not sure what was supposed to happen there. It's going to be a gold card followed up by the Ragnarok. You got to know there's more than one member there, and even if it is just an Olaf, it's an Olaf, all right?
Yeah, this is an Olaf that's 3-0 in the game, and just look at how disgustingly ahead Yikes is. Already has the Trinity Force and the Death Dance, so just taking absolutely no damage from anybody on this team on the side of Grilled Cheese. I mean, Immortals feel like they're playing with their food a little bit there, and Grilled Cheese playing very disrespectfully. At least Steezy was. I don't know if you could ever really walk up into that position with just a gold card against Olaf, especially against someone who can just ignore all of that crowd control.
Exactly.
So now, Jalim, we have the end game objective. We have Baron spawning, and just like last game, I'm going to hold that, as I think Kenshin is dead.
Very likely. Trying to get a position for Condemn. That's going to be the Condemn Kenshin. Thank goodness who was there, because that might have actually been a kill for Kenshin. And that was really, really, I mean, that was Rakizoro actually getting into a bad position right there, allowing themselves to be by the wall. They're going to get condemned out.
I always find it really funny. Galio in this game reminds me of Release Rework Galio from League of Legends, just because the Winds of War, the first ability, does so much damage. Speaking of damage, that's just going to be Pirate Boy dead, and that's probably just Baron.
Yeah, that's absolutely just Baron. If you get the jungler at that point, you get anybody when you're 10k ahead, 10 plus k ahead at this point in the game. Generally, you go for it. But if it's jungler, it's absolutely no reason not to. You've got a red buff as well on Doom right now. Who, yes, is 0-0-0, but has provided a lot for team fight stage, which, I mean, kind of came at like 3 minutes into this game.
Goom, I think, if we're giving out superlatives like in high school, gets the I'm helping award. We're gonna give them the I'm helping award. Like you said, 0-0-0, but it's just doing their job. Best, maybe Goom could actually get. All right, if we're actually doing real superlatives, it's probably Goom is best role player. Just, I mean, he's just hitting minions and being a ranged carry. Charm is probably most likely to found a business. He's just the front line for everything here. Can even get out whenever they need to. Just, I mean, look at that.
Just
TP
like that.
coming in. They want this.
It's gonna be the start of the fight. She's gonna be the target here on the backside. Though you have the Ragnarok come out and a dead Olaf. Charm going to use that stopwatch, and it is Hero's entrance having to flash away from Hoom. Speaking of flashes, we get another one there from Goom, flashing forward as well from Kenshin and Stowe, but they're not going to find anything more. A lot of damage and a lot of pressure. Still a successful push for Immortals.
Immortals, the good thing here for Grilled Cheese is that the fact that they don't actually lose an inhibitor or a mid lane turret. They're probably going to lose their marksman, though. So say goodbye, everybody, to Kenshin. But, I mean, the fact that Immortals were not able to get this... Actually, is Iraqi Zor going to die? Nope, it's Steezy.
Oh, it is Iraqi Zoro. Who actually used the barrier as well for that. So barrier burns, and Iraqi Zoro not recognizing that Steezy was in good position.
No.
Steezy now certainly not in a good position. Goom is going to get that one.
Heartbreaking, honestly. But, I mean, this is just kind of a pit stop, I think, for Immortals. I like the fighting from Grilled Cheese, the fact that they're able to make sure that the blinking health bars on Immortals means that they can't take this mid turret down and start to break open inhibitors. But now with an Infernal in their back pocket and returning back to the mid lane, Grilled Cheese are going to have to dig deep here. They're going to have to find some new ingredients. They're going to have to get really spicy with this next couple fights because they are deeply behind now. It is only 7,000, but they have no turrets. The jungles, I mean, if you're Vi right now, look at the item differential. Just like you get Asterix and that's it.
Yeah, or just don't
Goodbye,
look at the
Kenshin.
item differential because
Goodbye, Kenshin.
that's rough. Kenshin
Wow.
tumbles away from that one, actually, and you got Iraqi Zoro. It's like, all right, fine, that's okay. I'll just continue to push out this dragon lane and let my team distract all of you here in the mid side, and that is going to be very effective. Once again, a strategy for Immortals and Iraqi Zoro in particular, doing the split lane, finding the side lane pressure, and really making it into a very difficult game for Grilled Cheese here. Nice little stun, but it's not going to be enough.
Iraqi Zoro definitely most charitable for the superlatives.
Just
They had ultimate there. That right there, if I'm a marksman, if I'm a dragon laner trying to play against that and they don't ult me, I'm like, thank you. I would have just died right there. So most charitable for superlatives. You still got to find one for Hoon and Yikes. I'm going to probably just give Hoon most attractive because I've been watching some Hoon streams and that guy is, you know, a fair looking dude. That's all I'm going to say. Look, great looks. And we still have to find one for Yikes. Maybe it'll come later in the tournament. Maybe it'll come later in the major, but we need to keep our eyes out for them.
Yikes is like everyone's bestie, I feel. You know, Yikes is like the stalwart.
Most likely to have the biggest friends list on MySpace.
Yeah, that or just like, you know, the center, like always, you know, very. Just that is the glue, you know, like the glue that keeps the team together. I mean, you can just tell that there's been a lot of sacrifice fights coming out of Yikes, and that's certainly how it feels. That they're the team player right here.
Kenshin, here we go.
Is going to be Texu, goes in comes the teleport. What a blade caller there! A nice monsoon to try to keep the team alive, but a few flashes forward and a little bit more of an initiation from Iraqi Zoro means they're going to find like a triple kill here. And there it is, a triple kill, a clean ace, and likely the end of game number 2 and this series in favor of Immortals.
Immortals will go on to the winners finals where they're actually going to be going up against a few names we've seen and a couple other of our majors here, but save that for a little bit later as that was just a dominant 2-0 and definitely what we've been expecting coming into the quarterfinals of today. A lot of the teams from the previous majors, they were looking strong, and we were looking to see if maybe some of the teams coming from the qualifiers were going to put up a fight But Immortals, they changed up some of their players, are looking really, really on fire and looking like they got some energy behind them. I'm excited to see their run here potentially in the semifinals later on.
Honestly,
Just
the
look at this.
cohesion, it's just
Oh,
insane. You got the MVP right there in Iraqi Zoro. 6, 2, and 4. And I'm just honestly just looking at the items, you can tell. You won't even have to see levels, gold, anything. Just
all
items.
right.
And right there, 16
Never
minutes. We
behind
got,
at any moment in this game.
oh no, just over 16 minutes on that one. No, from the very, very start, they'd found themselves. I mean, you know, First Blood, like you said, gives that 600 gold, but my goodness, the grilled cheese, they were given absolutely nothing in that match.
Delicious.
So, wow, what a first round of the day. It was an absolute clinic put on by Immortals, in my opinion. As somebody that was just watching, you guys are doing a wonderful job casting. I have to say that for me, one of the things that stood out was that Immortals, both games really went heavy with the engagement for their draft. And it looked like Grilled Cheese was really struggling to figure out a way to deal with that. In many ways, I felt like that might be why they went with like Graga and Janna in the second game, because they were looking for some disengage. But what can you say about that kind of play style? I guess I'll start with you, Jolly. When you see that much engage, what should Grilled Cheese have done to maybe try to deter that play style?
Oops. Whoa, as I like knock my table. So I liked the start of it. I liked, you know, the Gragas first pick. Gragas incredibly strong. The big thing for me where it was like, okay, I'm not sure exactly what the thought behind it is the Vi. You know, you've got a lot of really, really good either whether it's disengage, strong champions, you can run them. You can run the Gragas in the jungle. You can pick up. I mean, I know that there a lot of them are like more mechanically skilled, like Fiora, things like that. But a lot of other counter champions that can do very well, you know, if they're able to get some side lane pressure. So maybe I think that was something that I had offered. I said if they tried to take the Camille, they banned it out on this one, even though they were on blue side, instead of potentially trying to take it themselves. So seriously, I think crowd control and an attempt at getting those side lanes would be the best way, because there's no way that you're going to be able to stop the initiation from Immortals with this composition whatsoever. You could try to find some side lane pressure and focus them away from the mid lane. It really would have offered more wiggle room for grilled cheese.
One of the things that I noticed as well, I'll get to you in a second, because this next question is actually for you, right? One of the other things that I noticed as well was that there was a lot of focus on the Rift Herald for Immortals both games. When the timers are up, both times Immortals prioritize the Rift Herald. And with these engagement teams, you would think it's because they wanted to force the fights at the objectives. They prioritized the Rift Herald because they wanted to push a lane and hope that the other team came to slow them down, which I think benefits them. It forces those fights that they're looking for. Do you think that there should have maybe been a shift or a prioritization in that second game, knowing that they wanted that Rift Herald Elk by chance?
I mean, this time around, they did make a change, right? They didn't fight for it, and they didn't lose someone. They eventually still got the Drake either way in both of these games. But if you're grilled cheese, like you were saying with the engagement tools, you already know that they're going to try to look to dive you, look to try and find a fight. And with the Rift Herald, it allows you to just cheat so much pressure onto the map, getting so much damage onto turrets, and being able to open up the rest of the Rift for their team. Grilled cheese, they didn't have a lot of priority lanes to try and help out their jungler. They don't have many ways to try to, you know, these comeback mechanics when we're talking about crowd control. So it's very hard, I think, for the side of grilled cheese, if they're not taking control of the side lanes and trying to, you know, either leverage an advantage over the dragons or leverage an advantage trying to fight for these Rift Heralds. You basically get the worst of both worlds. You don't have any engage, and you can't find anything on the opposite side of the map. So grilled cheese, they may, you know, we may have to just chalk it up to first game of the day. They're a little bit, you know, it's a little bit groggy if you're on the West Coast, but I mean,
groggy.
You gotta get into this game, especially now that you're in the lower bracket for grilled cheese. And from someone watching them in the qualifiers, I was really excited to see how they could perform, and looking to see if they can find that second win.
Well, with that victory, we're going to take a look at the bracket here, because we do know Immortals moving on to the semifinals. We're going to see both of the semifinals on our broadcast, and it does look like it's already been decided. We're going to be seeing Immortals take on Tribe Gaming. We also now know that Cloud9 has beaten Sentinels 2-0, which I have to be honest is a bit of a surprise to me personally, that it was a clean sweep. And then obviously we can see NME and Brawl Stars 1-1 currently still playing that out. But again, Immortals moving on, and they're going to be taking on Tribe Gaming, which really I think will be a very exciting matchup.
Oh, this is like the matchup. I mean, this is with the improvement in Immortals. You know, previously maybe it might have been C9. Tarzan was a big player that everyone, you know, had eyes on at the very, very start of things before other players really started to find their footing. And this is like the matchup for me for the day. I'm super stoked to see this one because both of these teams, they just had 2-0 sweeps, so they were both very, very successful to start things out, hitting the ground running, immediately going into the next series for both of them. So I really can't wait to see what they try to pull out.
Especially for Tribe Gaming, they are, you know, they're another one of these major teams. We didn't get to see them in the first round, obviously. So in the semifinals, I want to see what their adaptation has been onto the new patch and what the matchup between Araki Zoro and Chuck looks like, because Chuck has been so good in the Baron lane. Against Araki Zoro should be a very fun one to watch.
Yeah, I know that I am looking forward to it personally. I'm also just really invested in who's going to win that NME matchup, because I thought NME might be a favorite to 2-0 that one. So the fact that they are split right now and still battling it out is a bit of a surprise, but you know, it's anything is possible. It's a Wild Rift, and we're going to see some more Wild Rift after a short break. Again, the matchup we're going to be seeing next is Immortals taking on Tribe Gaming. It's going to be a fantastic one, so don't go anywhere. Again, short break, and we'll be back with the Wild Rift Summoner Series semifinals.